All right, two questions that I see often for the electric fuel conversion is one, how to tie into those fuel rails underneath the truck when you're mounting your pumps and your filter assembly under there. One of the recommendations that I give, it's the one that I use, is to cut the steel lines on the frame and then put some fitting combination on there to allow you to easily connect hose onto those lines. And what I use is a 5/16 compression fitting to a 1/4 inch male pipe adapter, and then you can see the Teflon in there. From there I go with a female, 1/4 inch female pipe thread connector to a -06 AN connector, and then that allows me to take hose with a -06 connector on the end of the hose and then quickly attach right onto the fuel line underneath the truck. So my recommendation is to use this combination. Again, 5/16 compression to a 1/4 inch male pipe, then 1/4 female pipe to connect onto that to come out as a -06 AN connector. The second question I get is wiring, and a lot of guys like to wire up their fuse box to sort of make it look a factory look versus adding another relay hanging off the fender and tying into the fuel bowl heater wire, which is the simplest way to do it. So the more complicated way then, of course, is to come underneath and rewire your fuse box a little bit. So what I've got on the workbench here is a customer's fuse box. I'm rewiring this not for an e-fuel conversion, but for him to be able to run this engine. He's doing a swap of this Power Stroke motor into a 67 Ford pickup truck, and he needs the wiring harness redone to allow him to run it in that truck versus the original truck it was in. So my recommendation for adding a relay under here, here's all your relay slots coming up this side. The first one is the PCM, the IDM, followed by the horn relay, then the trailer relay, and then you've got this empty spot right here for a relay that has no wires in it at all. My recommendation, go into a salvage yard, pull a fuse box out of any Ford truck of the same vintage, it doesn't matter, gas or diesel, and pull out one of the relay position wiring. To do that, you'll have to flip the box over, pull the relays out, and start working at the tabs in there to pull the wires up out of there. They should release from the other side. This is the trailer wiring here, this last relay before the empty position. I'd use this. This has slightly heavier wiring than the horn relay does, and then the IDM is much too heavy, and the PCM is a little light as well. But the trailer relay will work well for adding another relay in here for the fuel pump. Pull all these wires out. They'll come out, again, little tabs, and they just pop out with their connectors, and then you just stick them into this last spot here. So populate this spot with the wires from that, and then to trigger it, it's real simple. For the trailer relay, and I've done some rewiring here, so don't mind that. This is the ground wire here at the 12 o'clock position. This is the ground for the relay itself to trigger it. Just tie into this wire here underneath the box itself, and then to trigger it with 12 volts, it's going to be what will now become your 6 o'clock position, looking at it in this manner. And to orient the box, again, this is the big wire coming into the box here from the battery. This is going to tie into what is fuse 22. This is the big red wire with a light green stripe. That is switch 12 volts coming off of the truck, and it comes out the other side of fuse 22, and it goes to a couple different places. It runs up here, excuse me, to a splice. Let me get this red wire out of the way here, you can see better. Comes up to a splice. This splice is going to the diode that runs the PCM, turns PCM on, and then it goes to two other places after that. One is going to be sorry, I stopped there for a second. One comes up into the harness for the engine, and when it goes into the engine, it goes to two places up there. It splices again. It goes to the relay for the glow plugs, and it goes to the fuel bowl heater. So essentially, you're tapping in here. You're tapping into the fuel bowl heater wire. So we're going to just tap, which is what I've done here. I've tapped onto that wire. This is fuse 22. This is the smaller wire coming out of fuse 22. This would be on the protected side. And we're just going to trigger the new relay tying into this wire. So to trigger the relay again, you're going to tie into the ground for what is the trailer relay. That's the 12 o'clock position. And then you're going to take the 6 o'clock position and you're going to tie that to the small wire coming out of fuse 22. Now to gain power, that is going to be the using the 9 and 3 o'clock positions inside of the fuse box here. The output sides for all of the fuses that they have factory, they're using the 9 o'clock side. It doesn't matter, it's a switch at that point. You can use either side as you're in or you're out. But to line up with what the factory does here, they're using the 9 o'clock side as the output to the device being powered. And they're using the 3 o'clock side from the fuses to bring the power in. So you would then populate one of your maxi fuse positions that isn't used, and you'd bring it from that fuse into the 3 o'clock position, and then you'd use your 9 o'clock position to go out to your end device that you need powered, like your fuel pump. So to wrap it up here quickly, that's how you would go about adding a relay into your factory fuse box to power a fuel pump. And that would keep all the wiring tucked underneath the fuse box. You wouldn't have any extraneous wires running out onto the engine or anything like that. You'd have it all tucked up neat underneath the fuse box, and you'd never know the difference that one relay was added for this purpose of running a fuel pump. Of course, the one extra wire now you have coming out of your fuse box is going to be going to the pump itself. You can't avoid that. But that will be the only extra wire that you're adding to your truck at that point. That'll be seen as the one wire coming out to the pump. So that's my recommendation for tying fittings onto the fuel line and modifying the fuse box for e-fuel setup.